fresh off the back of basically dying from a cold and cough and everything. I've still got a little bit of a raspy voice at the minute. I've actually been to the cinema, obviously wearing a mask, abiding by all these coronavirus restrictions, to see the brand new Marvel film, The Eternals. So in today's video, I'm going to share my thoughts and also the sort of things that I didn't really understand about the film. Let's jump into it. If you're here from the back of the June review that's kind of blown up recently, with all these people reviewing, like sharing their opinions on it, I've had a really mixed sort of audience reception from that. I've got fans that really love the film, but then fans that don't love the film. And it is quite interesting to see the sort of differentiation between the two different pools. With that film, I kind of walked in not knowing what was going on and what was happening, and I didn't really necessarily enjoy it. But today I'm going to be more focused on The Eternals. Obviously this is a review for The Eternals film, and I'm just going to try and share my basic sort of thoughts. So obviously it's a Marvel film. I'm dressed like Captain America again. I can't get enough of Marvel sort of superhero films, but at the same time, because I am such a huge Marvel fan and also a huge cinema nerd, there are many different things that I expect from a superhero film in this modern day, and The Eternals didn't really tick all of those boxes. It kind of fell into the category of Black Widow. If you haven't seen that video, there's a card up here to go watch that, and it didn't really meet my general sort of expectations. The cast was alright, some of the casting options were pretty good. I really liked the main character, as she really embraced the sort of culture. She'll appear on screen just here for you guys to remember who she is. And there were other sort of features from more British actors, especially from the guy that comes from The Bodyguard. He'll appear on screen here. But it felt really weird with him being that character. He was kind of like a Superman-ish sort of person that sort of manipulated the plot and story and just didn't feel necessarily right. You've got obviously a cast of all American actors, and then you've got a British guy that is speaking in a very British accent. And it didn't really feel that it didn't, I don't know, it just didn't mesh for me. In reference to the actual plot and storyline, without spoiling too much, it has obviously been a little while, so there may be a few different spoilers, just a bit of a pre-warning. I didn't really feel like it was the most appropriate story. It didn't really engage me in the way it should have. And if we're talking about Celestials and powerful beings, like, come on, Celestials are meant to be more powerful than Thanos. They're literally the creators of the universe. They create and destroy worlds and universes and planets. Like, why can they be killed so easily by a team of like 6 or 7 people? It makes zero sense. You see how much struggle the Avengers had, and they were like literally like 50 billion people at the end of Endgame trying to defeat him. And then we just have this. We just have 6 people destroying a Celestial. Bruh. Makes no sense to me. But to be honest, the choice of costumes, the choice of placement in terms of character storylines, in terms of like the actual setting of the story, I thought that was all right. I didn't think it was the best and most blowout Marvel film that's going to be like screwing everyone to the box office to go and watch it, but I think it's a solid sort of take. There's another thing that I really do want to focus on as well, and that will be the post-credit scenes, but I'm going to get that. I'm just going to push that a little bit further on, further out to the end of this review, just so I can focus on a few other things beforehand. So I've broken down the characters and the choice of characters, basically stating that the main character is probably one of the most important, and then these sort of sideline characters as part of the group kind of don't really add much, because the character development is around this one character. The story is weak in parts and doesn't really add to the overall sort of main storyline of the Eternals franchise in the comics. But I think that is down to the adaptation. I am a Marvel fan and I expect a lot from a lot of Marvel films. And coming off the back of Shang-Chi, I was amazed with that film. The sort of blend of fight sequences, the references to more anime, sort of Dragon Ball universe style in terms of fighting, but then also the actual storyline arc, the way it's been adapted, all that sort of stuff. But Eternals just kind of felt like a, I wouldn't say half-assed attempt, but like a kind of like, oh, here's the Eternals, here's a sort of categorized story in one film. We're going to try and include everything and make everyone's stories work. And it is very, very difficult to sort of base a story on the Eternals comics, mainly because the Eternals comics have been used over thousands of years. So obviously their storyline basically starts before sort of the century before Christ came, and then they're progressing and progressing and progressing. And the comics do follow that story, but in the film it's like all amalgamated and pushed up to the modern day after the snap has happened. There are references to the snap, obviously, with the main character's boyfriend being the guy that's basically like, why didn't you be involved with Thanos? Which is fair enough because they were told basically not to intrude. But then it's interesting. You need to go watch it yourself to really understand the links back to the rest of the franchise. But generally, I thought it was okay. The thing that I want to focus on and really, really speak about are these post-credit scenes. Come on, my guy, okay? There were two post-credit scenes. I'm not going to spoil one of them. I think you can go and decide that by yourself and go off and do that. But the other post-credit scene that I'm going to talk about is the Harry Styles cameo. I don't know how to feel about this. Obviously, I grew up with One Direction being a huge band, being very, very influential, and they're involved in loads of different things. And I just don't know if I can see him being in a Marvel film. I don't know if they're just doing that as like a ha 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 ha, Harry Styles is in a Marvel film. But I don't know how I feel about that, and I don't know if I'm looking forward to seeing him in a Marvel adaptation. We're just going to have to see how that plays out. I know that these videos are trying to like share my thoughts and reviews and everything about the film, and to be honest, I thought it was a decent version of a Marvel film, but I don't think that it's the best that we've seen yet. I think Shang-Chi is a better example, and it's better than Black Widow, but it's not quite up there, unfortunately, with the rest of the Marvel sort of films. I try not to spoil as much of the plot as possible. That's why sometimes I don't sort of categorize or really, really define my personal views on the film because I don't want to spoil the plot too much. But if you do have any questions about the story, please drop a message down in the comments section so I can get a more feel and a vibe of what you guys thought. That has been all for today's video. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you like these videos, please hit like, hit subscribe, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Thank you very, very much. I will see you then. See ya.